Good morning, Cowboy Jim. Monday, I think it's the 11th of April, and I was watching Fox News, of course, and was watching Biden's impassioned plea for restructured gun laws, and uh, and the reason that he wants to restructure the gun laws is in an effort to counter criminal activity. And he's a politician, and he's a liberal, democratic politician. I think he may well have taken lessons over his years in the Senate or whatever from Pierre Elliott Trudeau back in the 70s, 80s, 70s, whatever. Because Trudeau put forth the idea, as I've said it several times, that you could do anything to a Canadian and 3 months later they would re-elect you. And that, to me, is abhorrent. But to watch Biden tout the idea of gun control, to take it to another level, I mean, he is he's demanding that people not be able to make their own weapons, their own handguns, and they can with a pretty fancy printer. Apparently, you can, and the problem with that is they're not traceable. No serial numbers. Well, this is the same Biden who 2 years ago, during Black Lives Matter, uh, which were that's a wonderful group who does not realize that all lives matter, but the preeminent life in their perspective is black, their uh, color of skin. Like as though the color of skin makes any difference to the functionality of the body. I mean, Darwin had his day, and he was terrible. I mean, he said black people, African black people, will never be good at athletics because they didn't have the mental acuity, skull capacity actually, to develop minds that would be tremendously competitive. Jeez. And Asian people, Darwin said, would never be that good at business because they were too short. It's been my experience that the, the shorter a man is, the harder he tries to compensate, and thus overcompensates usually. But you can't you can't put a man down for putting his whole heart and soul into everything, and you just can't. So let's take a close look at what Biden is asking for. He is demanding, and he is going to implement laws that will make it very difficult for people creating what are called ghost guns, guns that function but have no serial numbers to them at all. And I am told that every restricted and handgun that is produced in North America is fired a couple of times. And that leaves a recognizable fingerprint, footprint on what the lead looks like when it comes out of the gun, so that in the future, if it's used in a crime, they can go back to their archives and they can tell which gun was used in which crime. Great idea. It really is. Oh, it's not Biden's idea. No, Biden's idea was defund the police because they had become unnecessary and they had become a little too heavy-handed. And so the liberals, the Democrats down in the States, just simply said, do away with police. And they cut back on the money. They cut back on everything. Ridiculous restrictions, limitations on law enforcement. And law enforcement, they said, why should we try to enforce the law when the district attorneys, attorneys, were not enforcing the laws that were in existence? And the Democrats in the states have had a program in place for a couple of years, especially in California, and democratically controlled, or states that are controlled by the Democrats. And they have been doing everything in their power to defund the police, to curtail, for the sake of political correctness. They won't prosecute, and they won't enforce the laws. So the police say, what are we supposed to do? We catch them, and an hour later, they're out on the street again. Only now they're really angry with whatever policeman caught them. Here's the deal. It's called politics. Politics. It's called whatever sounds good. Whatever you can do to get reelected, do it. Well, that means let people vote who have been dead for 50 years. They don't vote conservative, okay? Those dead people. Well, they don't. They vote Democrat, liberal. So why shouldn't they vote? Gives you a better sense of a chuckle about eternal life. I mean, think about it. People who had died so long ago that most of the American people are older than the people that are still voting and have been dead for 50 years. It's pathetic, really. So, but though it is pathetic, though it is functionally wrong, stupid, not bright at all, if it is said with enough conviction, people, well, the politicians hope. The Democratic politicians hope. I mean, shoot. They hope that some idiot's going to believe what they say and vote for them again. And I don't know. Oh, I truly hope that the conservatives, what are called Republicans in the States, I hope they take back many of the controls, say in the Senate or the House of Representatives, perhaps. I hope they do. because it would be very timely, but but Democrats are they're they're kind of like pit bulls. Don't let wisdom and common sense interfere with what you want to do, or the knowledge of right and wrong. And so, come November, boy, I'll tell you, I hope, I hope Democrats get their butts kicked. But in the States, it's been kind of hard to have an honest election. Of course, in 2020, no one believed that, right? I mean, Russian disinformation, misinformation, and all the things that were touted by the FBI, I think the FBI, the Democratic Party, the Democrat influenced news organizations, MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, they were all totally aware that Hunter Biden's laptops were true, real, that it was not misinformation, but they claimed it was in order to cover up, in order to make sure that whatever happened, Trump did not get reelected. And Trump, he really whined and complained quite a bit about that. He said it wasn't a fair election. And in hindsight, it wasn't a fair election. And does it matter? Yes, it does matter. Because Trump, had he gotten elected, this third world war that we're experiencing, not us yet, but the Ukrainian people, boy, aren't they just enjoying the fact that they're on the front page with, like, Mariupol. I felt real sick back about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, just ill. I mean, just physically ill. And I thought, boy, there's some hard times coming for Mariupol. And now they say there are between 10 and 20,000 people dead there. And Putin just bombed the hell out of the country. I mean, he's just simply dead. So a politician will say thus and so. But if you don't know what that politician said a month ago, or 6 months ago, or a year ago, or two, you may well believe the lying fatherless child. You may. And you say, well, what difference? Well, the difference is, where is this world taking us? Where? Our choices, our cognitive ability, limited as we Irish perhaps, but where are we going? To hell in a handbasket? I love that saying. I'm not going to hell. Screw that. I know the Creator and the Son. But if you listened to the solutions that Biden puts forth, every single solution is actually to the detriment of the United States of America. Everything that man does is contrary to what would be a solution. Energy. He's going to Venezuela. He does not want to irritate Putin, because Putin's people are sitting at the table with the Iranians who Biden is trying to buy them off, as Obama did, to get the pretense of a good nuclear arm deal. And it's all corrupt. It's just a joke. But if you don't know it's a joke, if you were to turn Biden on and listen to him for the first time, you would think, now that man is sharp. Well, that man doesn't know what sharp is. And I doubt very much that he's experienced it very much in the last 20 years. Because he never did anything when he was in the Senate and everything else. Well, nothing worth talking about. Anyways, so Monday afternoon rant. Don't let politicians get away with their BS. I mean, our politicians, any politician, are the liberals as bad as the conservatives? I believe they're worse. I truly do. I would hand a conservative the edge, hands down. Democrats in the states, are they worse than the Republicans? Oh, yeah. Oh, they really are. I mean, they really are. There was a thing on today that was telling people what Democrat senator who was giving the oil company supreme hell on Friday. It was telling which of those Democratic senators had invested in the oil companies that they were whining and complaining about. It's called hypocrisy. It's just simple. Okay. You have a good day. Pray for the Ukraine, will you? You know any little kid who is potentially being abused? Do something about it, eh? Like, take a shot at it. Put yourself at risk a little bit. Out there on thin ice, maybe. But for the sake of a kid. Okay? God bless.